Siyo, welcome to Cherokee Stories. I'm your host, Phil Bange. I'm going to read the story, A Tale of the Deer People, by Jack F. Kilpatrick and Anna G. Kilpatrick. Long ago there were two young men. They were brothers. They had never before taken any notice of young women. These two boys were handsome, and they used to like to go to the stomp dances. When they went to these dances and stayed all night, there were other people there that they didn't know. These people were strangers. Most of them were women. Two of the women wore all black, shiny clothes. They wore matching gloves that were long and beautiful. These women were beautiful. As soon as the dance was over, these women would disappear, and when the dance started again, they would run in from another direction and join the dance. As the women did these things, the young men watched them. One of the young men said to his brother, "I'm going to find out where these women come from. I'm going to ask one of them." "All right," his brother answered. "And if you can go with them, I'll just wait around here until you return." "Good." It was just at dawn, when it becomes light, that the young man joined the dance and was dancing between the young women as they were stomp dancing. So the young man asked one of the women, "Where do you come from? I see you come to the dance often." So the woman turned around and said, "We live just right over there, not very far from here, on the other side of the creek." "When are you going home?" asked the young man. "We are leaving soon. We will soon get ready to go." One of the women questioned him and said, "Are you going with us?" "Yes, I'll go with you," said the young man. "If you will go ahead on the way we are going, you can be waiting for us at the creek. When we arrive, we all wash our faces and then go across to the other side," said the young woman. The young women liked him very much. These beautiful women were human beings. He waited for them at the creek, and sure enough, as it was getting light, they arrived. They went down the hill to the creek and washed their faces. So did the young man. After they washed their faces, they walked in single file in a very narrow, smooth path. It was very rocky all around them. It looked as if there were a mountain made of stone. They walked along a bluff a long way, and then after a while, one of the young women said, "Here it is." So they stopped, and it was rocky there. When they stopped there, one of the young women opened a stone door, and when they had entered, she closed the door. After they entered, he noticed that everything was just the same as it was on the outside. He noticed that there were many people there, all kinds. They were having some kind of meeting. They were going to have a feast. They were cooking all sorts of wild meat. They had beautiful tables. The young man stood and gazed at these activities. He saw sitting in a corner an old man with a long white beard. The young man moved near the old man. "You did an amazing thing in that you were able to follow the young women," said the old man to the young man. "I have told everyone that they did very well for themselves. They found themselves a young man," said the old man. "Yes, I came with them," said the young man. "We will have good things to eat after a while, but we are going to have a ball game first," said the old man. So they had this game with the ball sticks. After the ball game, a very long table loaded with food was ready, and cooking was still going on. Some of these people that were cooking he had never seen before, and some of the dead were there cooking. They were cooking in a huge pot. After eating, the young man went back and resumed talking to the old man. The old man said to the young man, "Tomorrow there is going to be a race. and if you'd like to do so, you can enter the race. These 2 young women that you brought in here, they both can be yours if you win," said the old man. "There will be 7 places to run to, and if you arrive at the 7th place, you will have won, and I will give you the young women," said the old man. "All right," said the young man. "I didn't bring my racing clothes. I suppose I need to wear those," said the young man. "Yes," said the old man. "I have beautiful racing clothes that I wear when I race, and I will let you wear them," said the old man. So the next morning they made ready. The young man put on the racing clothes in a room where he was allowed to change his clothes. When he put on these clothes, he dressed from head to toe in beautifully shiny clothes, and his hands were covered with beautiful gloves. As he was looking at his hands and feet, he noticed that they had become like the feet of a deer. He was amazed at how beautiful he appeared. When it was nearly time for the race, the old man said to the young man, "Now you are just about ready to race." The old man snapped his whip to signify that it was time to race. And as he did that, the 2 young women appeared at the sides of the young man, and they ran with him down the wide road. The 3 disappeared as they ran upon the smooth road. The young man had on a hat that had a lot of horns on it, and it disappeared from view. After they had run a while, they saw another person dressed just as he was dressed, a little smaller in size, running down the road, coming toward them. They met face to face in the middle of the road. When they met face to face, they butted each other, and the smaller man reeled back in the road, but he arose, and they butted again, and they butted each other 7 times. On the 7th butt, the smaller one was vanquished. The young man and the young woman continued running down the road. Down the road they met another one. This time he had huge antlers. They butted 7 times. And on the 7th time the young man won. They met a third one. He defeated the third one. So he and the young women continued running. The one he met on the 6th encounter was a little larger. They butted each other longer upon this occasion, but still the young man won. After starting for the 7th time, the young man and the young woman continued, running with the young man in the middle until they met the 7th man. This 7th one was almost all black with little white spots, and he had huge antlers. They fought for a long, long time, and after the young man was butted the 7th time, he lost. So the young man returned, and the winner, the huge black one, took the 2 girls away. He returned to the old man and said, "I have lost." After a while, the 2 young women returned, and when they changed their clothes, they became human again. This old man was not just an ordinary human being. He was more powerful. He was thunder. While the young man was running, this man Thunder was helping him to be stronger with his thunder and lightning. That was the reason why the old man remained at the starting place. He was conjuring the big horned deer that were fighting the young man. The reason that the young man lost was that it was not yet time for him to have a young woman. When he returned to the old man, he changed his clothes, and he became an ordinary man again. The young man said, "I suppose I'll leave now." But the young women didn't want him to go. "Stay with us a little while longer," they said. So he remained quite a while with them, and they visited about near the place. They visited the various activities that were going on. These young women were young little people. The little people can change themselves into other creatures. If they say, "Let me be like this," they can change themselves into creatures that live in the woods. That's the way it was then, at the time of this story. Then the young man returned home, which was very near where the stomp dances took place. When he went home, the two young women took him, and they took him as far as where they had first met him, at the stomp dance. There was a stomp dance going on when they arrived there. At this dance there were real people only, and when they arrived there he saw his brother. "Where did you go? You were so long," his brother asked. "I can't tell you how far I went. I was with these young women who dance here a very long time," he said. His brother asked, "What was it like where you went?" "Well, there was so much to tell that one cannot tell it all. You see, I entered a race, and I was told that if I won it, I could have both of these young women," he said. "But you see, I lost. You see, when we fought, I was beaten upon the 7th encounter. That's the reason why they have brought me back. I wouldn't have returned if I had won." "Well, well," the other brother said. When the dance was over, they returned home together. They lived with their grandmother. The grandmother said, "Where have you been? You have been gone so long." "Just out there visiting around," he said. "Well, what were you doing?" she said. "I was visiting at somebody's house," he said. He became ill from thinking about these young women. They made him ill. Every day he grew weaker. He thought only of how the women looked. They made him a bed out on the porch because he was growing so ill. He became very weak, too weak to be moved about. As he lay upon his bed on the porch, he had his pillow folded so that he was in a sitting position, and he could look around him and could see the path that went down the hill to the spring. While his grandmother was attending him, sitting close by, the young man kept gazing toward the path. After a while, a beautiful young woman with 2 children appeared from the direction. The children that she had with her were beautiful. They were a boy and a girl. The energetic children saw him as he lay upon his pillow, ran to him, and cried, "Father! Father! Father!" and romped all over him. When the young woman came up, she began to attend him. The grandmother thought to herself, "He never had a woman friend. I didn't know there was a woman that he had been courting," the grandmother thought. After the 3rd day, the young women decided to get some water and took a bucket down to the stream. When she went to get the water, the children followed her. Or no, the children remained and kept on playing near their father. He was their father, wasn't he? The grandmother was still astounded at what she was seeing. When the young woman went to get the water, the grandmother decided that this was her opportunity to question him about her. So she asked him, "Where did this beautiful woman that you have been courting live?" "I didn't know, so I am amazed. You see, we don't have such beautiful women in this vicinity, and those that come from far off are not as beautiful as she is," she told him. "Yes, that's true," he said. "You see, I went to a place that I had never been before, and I was with 2 women there, and this is one of them." As he said that, the young woman was coming up the hill, and she heard him. She dropped her bucket and began to run. The little children followed her, and they all had gone but a little way when they changed into deer, a doe and 2 fawns. They disappeared into the forest. This was told a long time ago by the old people who were living then. That's what happened in those days. The conjurers followed and observed the little people. That's why they could see such strange things happen. They say